For the last 10 years, I've been reading books, but I really took my reading up a notch, probably 6 or 7 years ago. And over the course of 2 or 3 years, I read about a book a week. So I was averaging like 50 to 54 books a year. And I don't say that to impress you. It's actually now I read significantly less than that because I had the luxury of not being a parent, not being so busy. So I had extra time to read books. Now it's significantly reduced. Maybe I get through 15 to 20 books a year. But the reason I want to highlight that is as the more I was reading, the more I was growing. And there's a very, very linear progression around that. I can look back and see that when I started to prioritize this habit of reading, when I learned to love what reading and finding books to read, my growth in all areas just skyrocketed. Now, a lot of people will think that they don't have the luxury of time to read a book. They'll say something like, well, I don't have the time. Like life is so busy. And I get that. And that's usually why people will go for things like Audible and audiobooks because they can listen to those on the commute and anything is better than nothing, right? But I want to just challenge you on that a little bit. Based on the average length of the average book, if you read for just 20 minutes per day, daily, and you protected that habit, just 20 minutes, you would read on average 25 books a year. Okay, so I think that everybody can give 20 minutes a day to anything that they prioritize. You'll often heard it said that it's not that you don't have time. You have to reframe that and say, it's not a priority for me. And I hope by the end of this podcast, you want to reorganize your priorities a little bit to find the time to read. Because I think that you, plus an extra 20 to 25 bucks a year, is a better version of you. I think that you've got more mental models. I think that you've got more information and inspiration and joy with you plus 20 bucks. But on that point, I will also say this. Don't just read books so you can say you read books to impress people. Beware the trap of mental masturbation. Books remain shelf help and not self-help if you don't do anything with the information in those books. Right? We have an adage in our culture that knowledge is power. And I like to push back against that because I don't think that knowledge is power. I think that knowledge is potential. Knowledge is latent power if you do nothing with it. It's great information, but if you just read 20 books a year and actually do nothing with them, then you've just got yourself a case of intellectual obesity. You've filled your brain with all of these cool ideas and concepts from the best minds in the world so you can appear as the smartest person in the coffee shop and brag about how much you read. But unless it's doing something in your life, unless you're actually implementing, taking action on this stuff, then what good is it? So beware that trap. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is potential. So yes, read books. Fall in love with the process of reading. But focus as well on what you do with that information. How are you going to turn the information into integration? How are you actually going to act on it? Because that's when the books go from shelf help to self-help. And we can really get into what we're doing here. So 20 minutes a day is all I'm asking for. And hopefully if you're not reading anything right now, then after this podcast, you'll have a couple of books you can throw in your Amazon cart, or even better, go find your local bookstore and see if you can find these on the shelves, bring them home with you and get into some reading. Hello friends, if you enjoyed that clip, then you can watch the entire thing by heading to this link over here, or you can find us wherever you find podcasts by searching Radical Health Radio. If there's value here, please hit that like button, let us know in a comment what your biggest takeaway was, and hit subscribe, support the show as we support you.